With about 250,000 built, the Laser is considered to be the most successful sailboat design of all time by several measures. It continues to be a worldwide sensation to this day and continues to be esteemed as an Olympic class more than 50 years after it was first conceived. Indeed, its designer, Bruce Kirby, along with being a distinguished Olympian, has also certainly made his mark in history with the Laser. Everyone knows about Bruce Kirby and the Laser, but what if I told you the design he was most proud of, out of the several dozen he's credited to, is a boat you've likely never heard of? So stick around. I'll show you which boat that is and why he thought this. Some of what I'll be sharing is publicly recorded, but some of it comes from a conversation that I had with Bruce himself while we were in a regatta together, so it's personal as well. We begin with a now legendary story about a historic yacht club's desperate plea to save their racing scene. It's 1979 at the Noroton Yacht Club in Darien, Connecticut. And this isn't just any club. Founded in 1928, it's a place with a deep history built around family sailboat racing. But a quiet crisis was brewing. The very thing that gave the club its pulse, the weekend one design races, was fading. Participation was dwindling, and the usual buzz on the starting line had been replaced by a troubled emptiness. The club members knew they had a problem, so they did what any determined group of sailors would do. They formed, what else? A committee. They started a methodical search for the perfect boat to bring the competition fire back, but they came up empty. Every boat they looked at had a fatal flaw for what they needed. Some were way too expensive, sidelining many families. Others were just too slow, lacking that spark needed for thrilling tactical racing. Some were too physically demanding, built for younger, more athletic crews, and shutting out older members or newcomers. And some were just plain uncomfortable. They needed an economical, one-design keelboat that was easy to sail, with a minimal crew, had a simple sail plan, was responsive and fast, able to launch easily, and be comfortable. Wow, is that all? I'm being facetious, of course. Fortunately for the Noroton Yacht Club, they had a secret weapon in their ranks, a man who was not only a fellow member, but one of the most important naval architects of the 20th century. Bruce Kirby. By this time, Kirby was already a giant in the sailing world. He was a sharp journalist and editor for what would become Sailing World, and he'd represented his native Canada in 3 different Olympic Games, as well as designed boats for the America's Cup. And of course, as we've already mentioned, he had already designed the most successful sailboat in history, the Laser. Pretty impressive, don't you think? The stars aligned. And the result of Bruce's work with the Noroton sailors? The International Sonar. So let's get into the details of why he thought it was his best design. But before we do, I would ask if you like this content, please click on the subscribe and like, and set the notification. It helps me to keep these coming, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, and a promise with that. This is real video and audio, no AI. One of the things that Bruce told me the new design needed to avoid was the large, overlapping, and crew-intensive Genoas that were common at the time. I know. I used to own one of these boats. And that boat demanded a crew of 5. And if I had one winch grinder or a head sail walker not show up, we'd find ourselves at the back of the pack. They also wanted the boat to have one standard set of sails, a simple main, jib, and spinnaker. No multiple head sail inventory allowed. And no complicated running backstays, trapezes, and so on. While this boat needed to be a fierce club racing competitor that attracted the best sailors, it also had to be accommodating to families and newbies. It needed to have an ergonomically designed large cockpit, with the crew in the cockpit having a good back support, and when hiking on the rail, having their feet facing in. Why the feet in, I asked. Bruce answered that not only is in more comfortable, but boats with their crews with their feet facing in are better able to look leeward and have fewer collisions than those where the crew is only able to look to windward. As you'll see later in the video, this decision was prescient in the boat's very popular uses for match and team racing. So Bruce understood that many boats of the time had a small aft cockpit that could barely hold half the crew. A day of racing meant an evening of back pain and a new set of winch bruises or elbow face punches from the often cramped action areas. The committee was loud and clear about fixing that. So overall, there were existing boats that fit some of what the committee wanted, such as the Etchells 22, which I love, by the way, and the Soling and the Ensign. But all of them had shortcomings in one way or another in their view. As a result, the Sonar was not only adopted by Noroton, but became a famous world-level class. Now, since this is a video and not a book, what I'm going to do now is give you an up-close and personal look at the Sonar, and point out what I believe Bruce would want me to point out in his masterpiece. And if you stick it out to the end, I'll share with you what Bruce and I concluded is the most important aspect of any racing sailboat. And perhaps you'll agree too. This brings us to the most important reason that Bruce and I discussed. You can have the fastest and best boat in the world, but what means the most is the crew you sail with, and the fellow competitors you sail against. And that ultimately is what has made it fulfill the needs for Norotan Yacht Club, as well as Wayzata Yacht Club, where Tally-Ho is. It keeps the love of the sport alive. And that's what makes whatever boat you learn on or invest in the right boat for you.